Over the last 7 days, our designers have been working tirelessly within their teams to work out a seemingly impossible problem. As they get ready to face what fate has in store for them, we talk to our mentors to understand why this challenge was created in the first place.
I wanted to bring in real consequences. I don't believe in fake projects. So from that perspective, the GISAID was an amazing partner. The work that you do is so consequential that it could potentially save millions of lives if you are able to help them do it. All the topics in there were foreign. Nobody understood those terms. And so that's also a part of throwing people into the deep end. And then we said, okay, how can you do it? So that is where people transform, because when you're given a really big problem that you do not believe you can do, and as you navigate through it, invariably every little fault that you have jumps out at you. And if you recognize it and fix it, you're now ready for the rest of your career.
Quite a challenge to throw to a cohort of an online design program, isn't it?
There's a drastic difference when you come together and you work with the people that you see on a Zoom call every week. A lot of my relationships have been built offline, like during these water cooler conversations, or you bump into somebody and a good conversation strikes up. You can never really stage that in an online setting, because an online setting has an agenda. You call somebody with an agenda to speak. You can't just casually bump into someone online. So there's a different way when you resolve a conflict online, because all you have to do is cut the call button. But here you are with that person for the next 9 days. You have to figure it out. You have to somehow or the other get it together so that you don't make it unpleasant for the rest of the team, because one bad apple could ruin the entire thing, right?
And what should have these participants learned over the last few days that would see them come out stronger at the end of the presentation?
How do you break the rules? You are so strong in your foundations, and you are so strong with your relationship with your people, with your environments, that you are still able to, deliver a good quality job.
And with that, the presentations for the semi-finals start. The teams share the culmination of all their efforts with a reviewing panel of mentors whom they have interacted with during the challenge. After each presentation, they are questioned by the reviewing panel for the choices they made. What they say here reflects their ability to demonstrate the depth and clarity of their design thinking and the alignment of their solution with the goals of the client. But were our mentors ever in doubt that these teams could finish in time?
I was. What about you?
I think my challenge was not that whether they would finish or not. The thing I was thinking about was, would they come up with a good enough solution that GISAID would appreciate? When I saw that they were thinking about a concept, my job was to go in, help them focus or think broader and kind of move them along. But I think till day 6, I was stressed. We had the whole plan set up. But the point is, at the end of the day, this is the impossible challenge. So in some ways, there are challenges for us too, because the situation is different. What we assumed people needed to learn was very different with what we realized people were struggling with. So we needed to jump in and help them at that point where they needed the help. So literally, most of the classes that we originally planned for, we did not deliver, but we were delivering other classes, other feedback. In fact, a really great example of collaboration here was, we had Simran and Saurabh who were observing that they were still struggling with the idea. So they would be sitting down in the night and watching the videos and say, what is the problem? And then how do we communicate to them? And so we had to ended up doing 1-hour session on how to listen, how to take notes, how to prioritize, what are you going to focus on? And that was the strategy. So literally a lot of it, pretty much everything was You're going on the ground, you're reading what everybody is going through, and you're reacting to them on the spot. So at the end of the day, like any parent, you have to trust that you've prepared your children for the world, and you have to sit back. That is the hardest part.
Looks like the hard work of these designers and their mentors has paid off. Every single team has completed the challenge. They are all here, they are all presenting today with their own version of the solution for the impossible design challenge. How did this incredible turnaround happen?
And then we have 45 people. In some ways, we are coaches. We can't do the work for them, but we have to coach them to the finish line. And you realize at some point, certain teams are getting tired. They want to give up. There's certain teams that are upset between them. There's dynamics that are going on. We are also constantly managing those moods, coaching them, driving them. Everybody realized that somebody was able to succeed and able to do the job. Now there was a fire under everyone. The next 4 days was literally how they delivered. And so we have to put those checkpoints. So we were doing at one level social engineering because we wanted to tell other people, look, you're falling back because somebody is doing it. At some level, we were counselors. At some level, we had to be the adults in the room, say, you guys need to go figure out your problems. So a lot of these different roles were simultaneously happening, while at the same time, we had to coordinate and say, somebody noticed a problem, it's coming back, and we are unit together, creating a strategy for what we need to do for that situation.
The reviewing panel checks the scores and gets ready to announce the finalists.
Sort of my assumption is I'm just announcing the top 3.
Yes.
In no particular order, because the order will be defined by the subsequent presentation.
Yeah, based on the average, yeah.
I would think that a lot of people are actually pretty close in terms of scoring, but then 3 groups did stand out. So I would just call out, again, no particular order, so don't let that mess with you, because you guys have one more try to kind of get this well. The top 3 is team number 2, if you can stand up. Team number 7, if you can stand up. And team number 1. So congratulations to all 3 of you. You guys are now going to be representing this group and then taking this further, I believe presenting to GISAID. Going to be a very successful representation of this group and the overall work that's going to be presented to them. Back to you, sir.
Congratulations, guys. And now I would like to invite Prasad here to do the closing remarks.
Thank you, Satyam. Thank you, Vinay. Thank you, Purnima. Thank you, Shiva. I know that a lot of you are super busy with all your schedule. You're calling in from a different time zone, and we really appreciate the time that you've made and the diligence and as well as the mentorship. It meant a lot for everyone, the mentorship support that you gave. So thank you very much. Now, one thing I would say is it's not done yet. Let's all meet up at the lounge. Let's do a quick debrief. Okay. And we got some more work to complete before we are done. So congratulations. Best of luck. Let's get to the next final and see what we can do. At the end of the day, what matters is the client loves what we are doing. So best of luck.
And so, the presentations for the semi-finals conclude.
I just want to say, I'm incredibly proud of all the work that's come out. Right? So, from the first day that you looked at it, did you even believe that you could actually speak the language, understand what is there, and then actually deliver? Yeah. And that is the most important outcome that I'm looking for. Is tomorrow, no matter what problem you're given, what challenge you're given, you're like, yeah, give me 9 days, I'll figure it out. If you can get into that mindset, no problem is too big.
And then begins the process of healing for the teams that didn't qualify for the finals. There were some common mistakes that each team made, and they need to know how they can learn from it. Our mentors drive these points home for every individual in every team.
There's no better teacher than failure. We can teach them hundreds of things on theory, in textbooks, whatever, but when you fail, you want to remember it for the rest of your life.
When you fail, something happens, you didn't have something before, but you have it now, which is the feedback that you get from all the generous and good people around you. You get that because you fail. If you don't fail, you don't get that. Somehow if you succeed, it's one way. It prepares you better to succeed at a better and higher level at the next time.
In India, failure is actually seen as a bad word. But in the US, it's fairly common. Like, you fail at a startup 3-4 times. The VCs are looking at that person, okay, he's failed 3 times. He knows how not to do it. His probability of success is higher because they have failed 3 times. And I think that mindset automatically allows people to create some of the most amazing companies in the products that you've seen. And these are world leaders. Get people comfortable with failure so that they can truly take the risks that can create value in the long term.
But what about those who are at such a critical juncture in their lives that failing may actually end up breaking their confidence rather than inspiring them?
My argument is we learn faster. You can learn in 3 years what other people can learn in 20 years if you embraced your failures. If you are competent, you are confident. When you're not competent, you're not confident to stand your ground and you will make compromises. It doesn't matter where you are in your career path. Everybody feels insecure about something. And it's about us figuring out what we're insecure about, being okay with failure and learning it quickly. If you have to learn it quickly. Don't drag it on over 5 or 6 years. I'm the kind of guy, rip the band-aid off and let's keep moving.
And keep moving we shall. Time for a quick check-in with the finalists, where they are given last-minute feedback and advice to ensure that even the smallest of shortcomings made during the semi-finals are not repeated. And so, the final call with GISAID begins. Dr. Sandy Mack and her colleagues are eager to see the outcome of the challenge. We ask our mentors what set these 3 finalists apart.
We observe in all the teams that we had, the common pattern was that they had a way to navigate through the conflicts. They had a common pattern of having fun together. They had a common pattern of not taking things personally, and even if they took it personally, they had a way to resolve that, and they knew their strengths and weaknesses. For them, it was less about how will I feel or the other person will feel, but it was more about, okay, we are here to do something. We are not here to win, but we are here to get to the finish line.
When you look at the teams that were quieter, a little bit more humble, when we talk to them, they will say, listen, all I expected to do was get into the finals, or all I wanted to do was finish the project. That's all. They had very modest expectations. But they wanted to be friends with everybody that they were working with, so they invested in that relationship with each other. And they made sure that they were communicating at all times. And magically, it turns out it's a hare and tortoise race. They kept a better team dynamic, they kept working every day, they kept chipping away at the problem. Whereas the teams that felt the pressure on them, and again, it's not about these individuals are bad. Every designer in the teams that did not make the finals, if you put them separately, they would be able to deliver a really good product. But because they were in a team, the team dynamics and the expectations messed with them.
I had observed something. All the 3 teams that won were the teams that were collaborating within each other. Team 1 would and team 2 would sort of also talk. Other teams were keeping intellectual property towards themselves. These guys were sharing. When they were sharing, there were things that came over dinner and stuff, because they were all sitting together and having dinner. All coincident. None of them were here to win. They were here to have and enjoy themselves, and that's what they did. And the outcome showed. So each of them had roles. There was no such competition that they had within themselves, and all of that, all these soft skills is what took them forward. Because there's only so far that your competency will take you. After that is your soft skills and your management and your interpersonal communications that's going to make the difference.
And then, with a final exchange of pleasantries, all the presentations of IDC are done. The teams gather around in celebration as all their hard work and the turmoil they went through has finally come to a close. The global team representing the scientific community from GISAID will deliberate overnight about the winning solution and announce the winners of the impossible challenge tomorrow. We arrive on the final day of the challenge. As we await the results to be announced, the participants get another case study. A scenario talking about a professional who has transitioned to UX recently after having spent a considerable amount of time in another creative domain. Turns out the case study is based on the real-life story of our mentor, Simran. In an incredibly honest interaction, Simran shares his journey from being a student in the Career Reactor program to being a mentor in the same program after years of hard work. He has also become a highly valued and sought-after UX professional in this time.
So I started paying attention to the problems inside my product because after doing all this UI related stuff, I joined some courses and I did my intensive training, and I realized that, okay, what UX really is, and you guys from your 9-day challenge would be able to understand as well what real UX is and how you really solve problems. There were people with 3 years or 4 years in when I just joined, but they were considered senior, even though I was there in the organization longer than them, right? And that put me again at a disadvantage. So I really had to take advantage of every opportunity I got and find the next thing that worked. So after I built this solution and after I was able to, come up with something solid, I worked with Prasad and Saurabh to be able to get the my entire product into a case study, because I had to focus on narrative. Just a portfolio like a Behance link wasn't going to cut it because every other portfolio looked the same. So I had to figure out how do I structure narrative. And narrative was the most important part of this entire journey because I want to look different, I stand out and stuff. And I had to sort of convince somebody that I had the 10 years of experience and the transferable skills and all that. I had to really show that I had 10 years of work experience, and it had to somehow show. And narrative was what I used to my advantage. So along with this, I was also parallelly giving back to the community. So I was given a small group of students to mentor for one project, and some of them are here right now. And that resulted in more opportunities, and I was also able to sharpen my communication skills throughout this entire thing.
But how was Simran as a student?
He used to be a very stubborn guy. Oh my God. Won't take the feedback. At one point of time, I was so irritated. I called Prasad and said that dude is like crazy. He's calling me here and there and asking me for extensions and all those things. And maybe we should just put him on some kind of waiting.
You also talked about refunding his money and kicking him out.
Yeah. Let us give him a very fair deadline, but if he doesn't do it, let's kick him out and stuff like that. We also started at the same time observing that he was aware about what he had to work on. So he acknowledged that he was stubborn, but he was like, no, I now realize there's something valuable, and he was pushing for it. He was working towards something that he could not change within just one day, but he was pushing for it for getting the mentorship. So that's when we realized that no, people can change.
What kind of changes in the mindset did this transformation need?
The mindset was to be a problem solver, right? And to develop that mindset is because of failure. As I said, right, failure is what empowers you towards success. After some time after going through a path and falling a few times, you will definitely subconsciously not even go down that road because you know innately that this is a bad idea. It's buried into you, and it's like life sort of teaches you lessons, right? And in terms of that pressure aspect that you're talking about, again, my entire thing is about having fun and enjoying what I'm doing. And the minute you enjoy what you're doing, failure is nothing but feedback. Success is nothing but an achievement, and your work still stays the same. These tools, even your AI tools, don't really create any value. It's the outcomes. And that's why what Prasad said on the first day of our second day, that you're responsible for your outcomes and not your artifacts. That statement really stuck with me. And it was something that I've been hearing, but that was said as a quotation. So that's something I'm going to go home and print out. But that is something that I want to give you, that your outcomes are the one that matters. And if you can accelerate and build your systems in a way that you achieve the outcomes faster, then that is success. It's not the manual labor that you do. I did not have any expectations. I just had fun, and I'll stop doing what I'm doing the minute it stops being fun. The whole point is enjoying what I'm doing, right? And this is a lesson I honestly got from Saurabh, to be very honest, because the first time I failed, I was almost in tears, and I called up Prasad and why is this happening, blah, blah, blah. And he gave me a very interesting thing. He said that when Saurabh was doing his training, he had failed the entire module, and he was my teacher during my training, Saurabh. And the minute Saurabh had to do the thing again, he just said, okay, I'll do it. And the way he said, okay, I'll do it, I was like, how did you do that? I called him up, and I remember this conversation very clearly. I was at home sitting on my couch, and I was on a phone call. I asked him how did you do it? And he just said, thing about feedback. He's like, I've learned something. I've learned what not to do, right? And that stuck with me very well. And I thought, like, let me see if I can internalize this. And it took some time, but perseverance is what kept me grounded towards failing less, and finally reaching a state where I can be like, yes, you know what, I'm confident that I can go forward.
And what if he had to do this all over again?
Okay, if I had to do all this again, first thing is listen to my mentor, because I had too many back and forths and would have probably added the number of grey hairs on Prasad's head a lot more. So I had given a lot of trouble and I should have listened instead of being so attached to what I was doing. So coming out of that and plugging to the outcomes took some time. So that was one. Second thing is, because of that back and forth thing, I delayed my portfolio. It should have been done in like 2 months, but it took almost a year, which made a certain aspects of my portfolio irrelevant. So I had to trash it and restart, and then again the loop started going again.
Can these learnings from one's UX journey be helpful in the holistic growth of an individual?
These lessons, right, apart from it having an impact on my professional life, it's had an impact on my personal life as well. And the way I'm approaching, navigating my personal life, I'm seeing that these UX strategies and all these things are sort of subconsciously so transferable. Like you sort of anticipate, okay, I think if I do this, and it's gonna cause some chaos, and you start thinking like 3 steps ahead. And because it's in your professional life, it sort of spills into your personal life as well, and you avoid a lot of unnecessary conflict if you just start thinking instead of being reactive. Reactive versus reacting versus responding. We sort of develop that mindset with all this.
Don't use it with your wife. It won't work. They're smarter than us.
So I'd like to say thank you to every single one of the people who I've mentored, because it's because of you guys that I got the opportunity to practice my communication skills and all the things that have happened to me. So thank you so much to every single person who have been a part of. And thank you for allowing me to be a part of your journey, because you've been a part of mine. So thanks.
And this is where Prasad tells us about one of the real goals of this event.
We have regular meetups as all the team members, and we discuss about everyone, because I might see one perspective as a senior person on the ground. Saurabh might see another perspective. Simran might see something else as a mentor. We'll have a moment where we're open to feedback. And when people are open to feedback, and that's when you give the feedback, it makes the most amount of difference. If you look at it, we could have given the same lectures before the class. But what we did was we gave them a fun game, the Marshmallow Challenge. And we said, try to understand from here. And then we let them fail and go through this journey. And then in the end, we connected it back. What was your marshmallow? What was the most important thing you're supposed to do? The most important thing is the people you're solving the problem for and the people you're solving the problem with. Everything else is actually irrelevant. A lot of the training, teaching, especially in this module, it's about creating that moment where people are in that level or mode of mind where they can understand and absorb what you're trying to tell them. And once they've absorbed, the game changes for them. The reason we did this case is, for a lot of us, we are thinking like, how is it possible? We start with impossibility, right? But the point is, you need to start thinking what is possible, what you have. You are capable of a lot more than you believe you are, okay? But it's also about systematic working and planning for your career. Your careers will not happen magically. They will not happen just because you deserve it. Nobody's going to give you what you want. You have to communicate that value that you have every day.
And then Prasad closes the session with a sneak peek of what is coming up shortly.
Thank you very much. Take a 10-minute break. We'll come back. Professor Mack is going to join us. She's going to announce the winners. In fact, all the finalists that she saw, she could directly see a connection between where her product wants to go and what you've done. Don't be surprised if you see a product that looks like what you've designed out there. So you will have like an amazing credit to you for the work that's been done. So we'll talk about that. So let's take a 10-minute break and come back.
And soon enough, it's time for the winners to be announced.
Everybody's super excited to know how it panned out. And so I will, without further ado, pass it over to you.
So firstly, thank you for inviting me to join in this announcement. I wasn't expecting to be able to address all of you. I was inspired enough to write a post in LinkedIn. If you're interested, you can read the whole thing. I'll keep today's announcement a little bit brief. So when I was first asked to draft the brief for this challenge, I was thinking back to a time when I was really knee-deep in outbreak data, and I was desperate for a way of sieving out the information I needed fast. I did not know what to expect from this challenge, but I knew it wouldn't be easy. And I am wowed by what you guys came up with, and you really rose to the challenge. Evident in each design was the attention that each of you paid to the problems we were facing on the ground. So a huge thank you for listening and asking the deep questions, for designing with empathy and the clear intention to contribute to something meaningful. My colleagues and I had the most difficult task of nitpicking each design to find the one that really stood out. So congratulations to all of you. And now I'm really, really happy to announce the winner of this challenge. My colleagues and I unanimously applaud Team 2, the one who first came up with the forum. Yay! Well done. Well done to all the teams. It was not an easy decision. Bye guys. Enjoy. Well done.
Congratulations to the winners! Our mentors have a conversation with the winning teams.
All 3 teams that made it to the finals didn't care about failure. They were just having fun. 2 of the teams said one thing very interesting. They said, we made a pact even before the project started that win or lose, we're going to be together. So they decided that they're not going to let the mechanics of this execution come in between them. They focused on what is important, their team and the people that they're designing the product for. That's it.
They also reflect about the finals with the runners-up.
What makes you a really good individual contributor makes you a really bad manager. You're a good individual contributor because you're doing amazing artifacts. But when you become a manager, you have to coach people to do it. Most beginning managers learn that through hard experience. And because these folks have gone through this program, now they know they don't have to experience it. They've already done it in a safe environment. They're not going to be those kinds of managers.
Saurabh has a unique insight into what makes a good team work.
If you talk about Transformers, the villain team is Decepticons, in which there is just one boss and everybody is just a follower. But if you look at the Autobots, right, Optimus Prime has that leadership role, and he's not the strongest one, but he really leads the team really well because he knows the strengths of his team members, like Bumblebee really fast, and then there are other folks. As you grow more in your career, your ability to recognize the talent within your team really matters a lot, and how can you leverage that to fuel a larger cause and make the best out of everybody. I think that is what matters a lot.
The mentors invite all the participants for a team lunch and reminisce about the events of the past 9 days. Having the students gather here together for this event, it must have been a really important call.
What is etiquettes? What are team etiquettes? Everybody knows that. How do you handle team conflict? Everybody knows the theory about it. How should you use AI? Everybody knows the theory about it. But all of a sudden, you're in this environment where you have to deliver for a really amazing partner. You have an amazing problem. You have the opportunity to get recognized for it. All those lessons go out of the window. We revert back to our most familiar self, whatever we are most comfortable with. And that's what everybody did. And then that's where we saw all the struggles and the pain that came out. But at the end of it, yes, that failure is what drilled that lesson into them.
We asked the mentors if there are any exciting observations from these 9 days.
Even though we've been teaching AI for about 6 to 9 months, these guys have been learning it. The challenge was almost everyone came into this on-campus place assuming AI was the magic bullet. People tried AI in every which way because there's such a concentrated period of time. People wanted that quick fix. They were in that panic. They wanted the quick answers. They would basically go to AI and say, I want the easy answer. Give it to me. Give it to me. And every time they went to the AI to get quick answers, they failed. You can't just go to an AI and say, this is my problem. You really need to think and plan. And we've been preaching it for a long, long time. But again, preaching it versus feeling the pain are 2 completely different experiences. And I think we definitely drill that concept into the students.
After the team lunch, Prasad invites Anugya, our representative from the O.P. Jindal Global University, along with her team to commence the presentation ceremony.
They've been the ones that have been working behind the scenes to make sure that we've had a great experience. All the facilities were there, everything was there. So they were instrumental in that. I want to acknowledge all the hard work that you and your team have done. So So I would love for you to come here and share a couple of thoughts with us and then do your magic.
Thank you so much, Prasad, for this opportunity. And I'll be representing today the university and also the JSA school. But I hope we could create a transformative learning experience for you on campus through these 9 days. I'm sure Prasad, Saurabh, Simran, all of them were able to create that experience for you along with Professor Venkatesh and the acting coaches who joined us during this period. So thank you everybody for coming in, trusting in us and joining us in this journey, because it's because of you we are able to do what we are able to do today.
The JGU team and the mentors then proceed to felicitate the winners of the Impossible Design Challenge with unique memorabilia specially crafted by the university. Our mentors get felicitated as well for conceiving and executing such a unique event. We asked them what they would want to see more of in the next edition of the Impossible Design Challenge.
I felt that we put too much pressure on people throughout. It was unnecessary. I think we could have diffused some of that. Until the acting coaches came in, why do I need an acting coach? It's a distraction. I don't want an acting coach. As soon as I spent a session with the acting coach, like, oh, now I know why I need an acting coach. This is going to help me present myself better. One thing that we would probably change is have an acting coach there from day one, getting people more comfortable, learning to, speak, emote, all those things. And then towards the end, have more acting coaches where there's a lot more one-on-one or one group work to help people really get into the mode of communication. I think that would be very helpful.
People get too attached to their solutions or to the problem statement that has given to them. I would like to introduce some detachment activities as to how can you detach and see the bigger picture and chill a little bit, right? Okay, it's not a train that's going to run away. It's going to be there for you for the rest of the 9 days. But when you have that calm and composure and, have that stillness in your mind is when you can see that, no, you are not alone. You are with your team.
As for the intent behind the series, Prasad sums it up.
Our intention is to have a public dialogue. What does good design look like? What should you expect from a good designer? Most people think design is simply doing one screen and putting some colors and selling it. A screen by itself does not create an experience. When you get your job done, when you get an outcome out of that product, is when you say, I love the product.
These 9 days began with the unassuming marshmallow challenge. And then, the seemingly unsurmountable problem statement hit everyone. The remaining days went by in a blitzkrieg, filled with ambiguity, urgency, and tight deadlines, with a few moments of respite and reflection. But the impossible eventually did become inevitable. And this is where we leave our viewers, with a promise that we shall meet again soon with a fresh group of design professionals tackling another improbable design task on the Impossible Design Challenge.